Ladies, gentlemen, listen, sometimes in life we find ourselves wondering why things didn't work out the way we hoped. Why did that relationship fall apart? Why did those friends leave? Why do I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a room, yet I'm the only one there? There are moments in life when we feel completely isolated, separated from the people, places, or situations we once thought we needed. It's easy to view these periods as a form of punishment, like we've been cast aside or forgotten. But what if this isolation isn't something happening to you, but something happening for you? What if the very thing you perceive as rejection is actually a process of preparation? See, in those moments of isolation, God is doing some of his most profound work. It's in the quiet, in the stillness where real growth happens. When we're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to lose ourselves in the noise. We get caught up in the expectations, opinions, and demands of the world around us. But when God allows us to step into solitude, he's removing those distractions so we can focus on him, on our purpose, and on who we are meant to become. Think about it. When we're constantly surrounded by people, we're rarely forced to look inward. We're busy keeping up appearances, maintaining relationships, and fulfilling obligations. But in isolation, we're given the space to reflect, to confront our weaknesses, and to strengthen our relationship with God. It's in this quiet time that we begin to understand ourselves on a deeper level, and we start to see the areas of our lives that need growth. This process of being alone isn't easy, but it's necessary. It can be uncomfortable because it forces us to confront parts of ourselves we may have been avoiding. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. Diamonds are created under pressure, and sometimes God has to remove you from the crowd, from the noise, from the easy path so he can shape you into something greater. In isolation, you learn who you really are. You discover strengths you didn't know you had, and you become more attuned to your purpose. It's in these moments that God refines you, equips you, and prepares you for the challenges and blessings that lie ahead. So what feels like punishment? It's not that at all. It's a process that's necessary for you to step into your true potential. And here's the thing, when you emerge from this period of solitude, you'll be stronger, more focused, and more prepared for what's coming. You'll have a clearer sense of direction because you've spent time getting aligned with God's will for your life. There's a lot of noise in life. It comes in the form of opinions, expectations, and distractions, everything and everyone demanding your attention. It's easy to get swept up in it, to feel like you need to listen to every voice, respond to every demand, and keep pace with the world's constant chatter. But sometimes God steps in and pulls you away from all that noise. And when he does, it's because he knows that clarity can't be found in chaos. When you're surrounded by noise, it's hard to hear what really matters. You might find yourself making decisions based on what other people think or chasing goals that aren't even yours. You get caught up in the hustle, the grind, and the pressure to keep moving forward without stopping to ask yourself if you're heading in the right direction. That's where God steps in. He pulls you out of that environment, not to isolate you, but to help you find clarity. He needs you to slow down and pay attention to what's truly important. It might feel like you're losing something when you're pulled away from your normal routine or relationships, but what you're gaining is far more valuable. You're gaining the space to listen. And not just to listen to the voices around you, but to the one voice that matters most, God's. His voice isn't loud, it's quiet. It's a whisper in the midst of the storm. And sometimes the only way to hear it is to be still. Being pulled away from the noise is about giving you the chance to reset, to realign your priorities, and to reconnect with God. It's about stripping away everything that's been clouding your judgment or filling your mind with doubt. When you're constantly surrounded by other people's opinions, it's hard to know what's right for you. But in the quiet, you can start to discern your own path. God knows that we can't make the best decisions when we're overwhelmed with distractions. He knows that our hearts and minds need peace, need quiet to understand his plan for our lives. That's why he steps in and creates these moments of stillness, these moments where it feels like the noise has suddenly stopped, and all you're left with is silence. But in that silence is where his guidance is the clearest. You see, it's not just about removing you from the distractions, it's about giving you the time and space to process, to reflect, and to grow. It's about allowing you to hear the truth undiluted by the noise of the world. This isn't a random occurrence, it's intentional. God knows what he's doing when he pulls you back. He knows that in order for you to move forward, you need a moment to pause. It's in these moments that God does his best work. When you're finally free of the noise, you start to realize what's truly important. You start to see where you've been off track or where you've been chasing things that don't serve your purpose. And in that quiet, God speaks. He gives you direction. He gives you peace. And he gives you the strength to move forward with a renewed sense of clarity. Being pulled away from the noise isn't a punishment or a setback. It's a gift. It's an opportunity to hear God's voice more clearly, to understand his will for your life, and to realign your steps with his plan. When you find yourself in solitude, it can feel unsettling at first. You're used to the hustle and bustle, the conversations, the interactions, the constant motion of life. But solitude has a way of forcing you to confront what's beneath the surface. It strips away the layers of distraction, leaving you alone with your thoughts, your feelings, and your truth. And it's in that space where everything else fades away that transformation begins. Solitude provides a unique opportunity to look inward. When you're surrounded by people or caught up in the demands of everyday life, it's easy to avoid the deeper questions. You can keep busy, keep moving, and never have to sit still long enough to ask yourself, who am I becoming? But when you're alone, there's no escaping it. You're faced with the reality of who you are, and where you're going. And in that confrontation, there's power. Because once you see yourself clearly, you can begin the process of change. Transformation doesn't happen in the chaos. It happens in the quiet. It happens when you're alone with your thoughts and when you're able to listen to the still, small voice inside you, God's voice guiding you toward growth. Solitude is where you get to strip away the noise of the world and get back to the essence of who you are. It's where you get real with yourself, where you admit your weaknesses, confront your fears, and acknowledge the parts of you that need to grow. In solitude, you have the space to reflect on your life in a way that isn't possible when you're constantly surrounded by others. You begin to see patterns that you may have overlooked before, habits that have held you back, and choices that no longer serve you. It's not always easy to sit with yourself in that silence, but it's necessary. Because transformation isn't about avoiding the uncomfortable truths, it's about embracing them and using them as fuel for your growth. And it's not just about self-reflection, it's about deepening your connection with God. When you're alone, there's a closeness you can feel with him that's hard to experience in the busyness of life. In those moments of solitude, you can hear his voice more clearly, understand his guidance more fully, and trust his plan more completely. It's in that intimate space where God begins to work on your heart, shaping you into the person you're meant to be. True transformation requires change, and change isn't easy. It requires you to let go of the old to make room for the new. Solitude is the place where you begin to release what no longer serves you. It's the place where you realize that in order to step into the future God has for you, you need to leave behind the past that's been holding you back. And as you sit with yourself in that quiet space, something shifts. Little by little, you start to see the transformation happening within you. You begin to think differently, act differently, and see the world with a new perspective. Solitude becomes not just a time of loneliness, but a time of profound personal and spiritual growth. It becomes the catalyst for becoming the person you were always meant to be. The solitude that once felt like isolation becomes the very environment where your transformation takes root. It's where you shed old beliefs, old fears, and old limitations. It's where you emerge stronger, more focused, and more aligned with God's purpose for your life. It's where you begin to see the power that lies in being alone, not as a state of emptiness, but as a space for renewal, growth, and transformation. Being alone has a way of forcing you to rely on something deeper than yourself. When you're surrounded by people, it's easy to lean on them for support, for validation, for reassurance. But when you're alone, all those external sources of comfort are stripped away, and you're left with the only true foundation that can sustain you, your faith. It's in the quiet and those moments of solitude where faith is not just tested but strengthened. When you're alone, you realize that you can't rely on the approval of others to define your worth. You can't depend on someone else to solve your problems or to guide you toward your purpose. In those moments, you have to turn inward, and more importantly, upward. You begin to understand that true strength doesn't come from people, it comes from God. And in that understanding, your faith starts to grow. Being alone also forces you to trust in what you can't see. It's easy to have faith when everything is going well, when you're surrounded by loved ones, and when life seems to be moving in the right direction. But real faith is forged in the moments when you feel alone, uncertain, and unsure of the future. It's in those moments that you have to believe that even though you can't see the path, God is guiding you. Even though you can't feel his presence in the way you might want, you trust that he's there, working behind the scenes, setting things in motion. Faith isn't just believing when things are easy, it's believing when everything around you feels uncertain. Being alone removes the crutches we often lean on. And in that emptiness, you find that faith is all you truly need. You learn to walk by faith, not by sight. You learn to trust in God's timing, in his wisdom, and in his ability to take care of you even when no one else is around. In solitude, you have the space to wrestle with your doubts and fears. And that's okay. God doesn't ask for blind faith. He asks for faith that's been tested and refined. When you're alone, you're given the opportunity to confront those doubts, to ask the tough questions, and to seek deeper understanding. It's in this process that your faith matures. It's no longer just something you say you have, it becomes something you live. It becomes your anchor. Being alone also teaches you the importance of surrender. When you're by yourself, it can feel overwhelming. You might want to control everything, fix everything, or make things happen in your own strength. But being alone reminds you that you can't control it all. And that's where faith comes in. You have to surrender to let go of what you can't control and trust that God will handle the rest. In surrendering, you stop relying on your own strength and start leaning fully on his. Faith, at its core, is about trust. And trust is built in the quiet moments, in the stillness when it's just you and God. It's easy to trust when everything is clear, but when you're alone without a clear roadmap, you're forced to rely on faith in a much deeper way. You have to trust that God's plans for you are good, that he knows what you need better than you do, and that even though the path may seem uncertain, his guidance is sure. In those moments of solitude, you also begin to see how God has always been with you. You start to reflect on your journey and recognize the times when he carried you through difficulties, even when you didn't realize it at the time. That realization strengthens your faith because it reminds you that God's presence is constant, even when you don't feel it. It reminds you that you're never truly alone, even when it feels like it. Ultimately, being alone builds faith because it creates a space for you to develop a deeper, more intimate relationship with God. Without the distractions of the outside world, you're able to focus on your connection with him, to listen more closely to his voice, and to trust him more fully. It's in that quiet, solitary space that your faith becomes unshakable because it's not built on external circumstances, it's built on the unchanging nature of God. When you're in a season of loneliness or uncertainty, it's easy to feel like God has abandoned you. You look around and see people moving forward, achieving their goals, finding success, while you seem stuck, waiting, unsure of what's next. It can feel as if God has forgotten about you, left you behind in the chaos of life. But the truth is far different. God hasn't abandoned you, he's positioning you. You see, there are moments in life when God needs to move you, to place you in a position that better aligns with his plan for you. And sometimes that movement requires a period of stillness, of waiting, of feeling alone. It's not because he's punishing you or neglecting you, it's because he's preparing you. He's putting you exactly where you need to be, but that process often doesn't look the way we expect. God's positioning doesn't always make sense to us in the moment. You might feel like you're ready for the next step, like you've done everything right, and yet the doors aren't opening. But what you can't see is what God sees. He sees the whole picture. He knows what lies ahead, what challenges, opportunities, and relationships are on the horizon. And sometimes before he can take you there, he has to get you ready. He has to position you, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally, so that when the time comes, you'll be fully prepared. It's like a puzzle. Each piece has its place, but it can't be forced. It has to be placed at the right time in the right spot, so the full picture can come together. You may feel like you're a piece that's been set aside, but God is just waiting for the perfect moment to fit you into the bigger plan. His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our own desires or expectations. When God positions you, he's also refining you. He's using this time to build qualities in you that you'll need for the next phase of your journey. Patience, resilience, humility, these are all developed in the quiet moments when you feel alone. It's in these moments that God is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and preparing you for something greater than you can see right now. Sometimes God moves us out of situations or relationships that are no longer serving our growth. It might feel like rejection, but in reality, it's God's protection. He's closing doors not to keep you out, but to lead you towards something better. He's positioning you away from what could hold you back, even if you don't understand it in the moment. Being positioned by God can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like you're being stripped of everything familiar, everything that gave you a sense of security. But that's often part of the process. God needs you to rely on him fully, not on your circumstances or the people around you. He's placing you in a position where your trust in him can grow, where your dependence on him can deepen. It's in that place of vulnerability that God does his greatest work. What feels like a delay is not a denial. It's God's positioning at play. He's preparing not just the opportunity, but you as well. He's aligning your gifts, your talents, and your heart with his purpose. And when the time is right, you'll see why the wait was necessary, why the solitude was essential. God is also protecting the space around you. Sometimes he needs to clear the distractions, the noise, and even the people who aren't meant to be part of the next chapter. It can feel like loss, but it's really making room for something new, something better. God is positioning you for growth, for success, for the fulfillment of his promises in your life. During this time, you may feel forgotten, but God is intricately working behind the scenes, aligning things in ways you can't even imagine. The connections he's setting up, the opportunities he's orchestrating, all of it is being carefully arranged for the perfect moment. He's not absent, he's active. He's moving pieces you can't see, preparing paths you don't know exist yet. The key is trust. Trust that God is positioning you for something greater. Trust that his silence is not his absence. Trust that just because you can't see movement doesn't mean there isn't any. When God is positioning you, it's often in ways that are invisible to the human eye, but undeniable in their impact once revealed. God isn't abandoning you. He's positioning you for the breakthrough, for the blessing, for the purpose that only he can see right now. Solitude can be intimidating. It's natural to feel uneasy when you're alone, separated from the constant companionship of others, the noise of daily life, or the distractions that keep your mind occupied. You might feel like something is missing, like you're being left out or left behind. But solitude isn't something to run from, it's something to embrace. Because within that space where you're free from external influences, something powerful happens. You begin to hear your own thoughts, your own desires, and most importantly, the voice of God. When you embrace solitude, you're giving yourself the chance to truly connect with who you are at the core. It's easy to get lost in the expectations of others or in the roles you play in life, whether as a friend, a spouse, a parent, or a professional. But when you step into solitude, those roles fall away and you're left with just you. It's in that quiet space where you can rediscover what really matters to you, where you can find clarity about your purpose, and where you can realign yourself with the path God has set for you. Solitude is a gift that allows you to slow down. In a world that constantly demands more productivity, more success, more engagement, solitude gives you permission to simply be. You don't have to perform, you don't have to please anyone, and you don't have to live up to anyone else's expectations. Instead, you can focus on what your soul needs. It's in these moments that you can reflect, recharge, and recalibrate. There's a certain beauty in embracing the stillness. In solitude, you're not distracted by the noise of others' opinions, and you're not pulled in a dozen directions at once. You have the freedom to listen to your heart, to listen to God, and to be fully present in the moment. That kind of presence can be transformative because it allows you to take stock of where you are in life and where you want to go. It's in these moments of introspection that you gain insights you might never have noticed in the chaos of everyday life. Solitude also helps you build inner strength. When you learn to sit with yourself, to confront your own thoughts, emotions, and challenges without the comfort of others, you develop resilience. You realize that you are capable of navigating life's difficulties on your own with God's guidance as your anchor. That kind of confidence can only come from time spent in solitude, from facing yourself head on and knowing that you are enough as you are. Fear of solitude often comes from the fear of confronting what we might find when we're alone. It's easy to fill our days with distractions, with people, and with activities that keep us from looking too closely at the areas of our lives that need attention. But avoiding solitude doesn't solve anything. It only delays the growth that comes from being still. When you embrace solitude, you face those things with courage. You give yourself the space to heal, to learn, and to grow in ways that aren't possible when you're constantly distracted. In solitude, you also learn to be comfortable in your own skin. You no longer need the validation or approval of others to feel complete. You discover that your worth doesn't come from how many people are around you or how busy your life is, it comes from within. And when you find that kind of peace in your own presence, you realize that solitude isn't something to be feared, but something to be cherished. When you embrace solitude, you're also embracing the opportunity to deepen your relationship with God. It's in the quiet moments when there's no one else around that you can hear his voice most clearly. You can seek his wisdom, find comfort in his presence, and gain strength from knowing that even in your solitude, you are never truly alone. God is always with you, and in solitude, you have the chance to experience that connection on a deeper, more intimate level. Solitude is not isolation, it's an invitation to grow, to reflect, and to reconnect with your true self and with God. When you stop fearing it and start embracing it, you unlock a level of peace, clarity, and strength that can't be found in the noise. It's in solitude that you discover the power of being fully present with yourself and with God, and that is a gift worth embracing. Standing alone is often viewed as a challenge, a sign of isolation or weakness, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful ways to develop inner strength. When you find yourself in a position where you must stand on your own without the crowd's support, without others to lean on, you tap into reserves of strength you didn't even know you had. It's in these moments when you're forced to rely on yourself and your faith that you discover just how resilient and capable you truly are. When you stand alone, you're making a statement. You're saying that your worth isn't determined by the approval of others, that you don't need a crowd to validate who you are, what you believe in. You learn to trust in yourself, in your abilities, and most importantly, in God's plan for your life. This kind of confidence doesn't come from having people around you. It comes from within, from knowing that you are enough, no matter who is or isn't standing by your side. There's a certain kind of growth that only happens when you're standing alone. In those moments, you're not influenced by other people's opinions or expectations. You get to define yourself on your own terms without the pressure to conform to what others think you should be. This freedom allows you to explore who you truly are, to stand firm in your beliefs, and to move forward in a way that aligns with your own values and purpose. Standing alone teaches you how to make tough decisions without needing constant reassurance from others. It forces you to listen to your own intuition, to rely on your own wisdom, and to trust in God's guidance. When you don't have a chorus of voices telling you what to do, you're left with the most important voice of all, your own. And through that, you develop a kind of mental and emotional strength that can't be shaken by external circumstances. It's also in standing alone that you learn to overcome fear. There's a natural fear that comes with being on your own, whether it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. But when you face that fear head on, when you decide to stand tall despite it, you come out the other side stronger, braver, and more resilient. You realize that you can handle more than you thought, that you're capable of weathering life's storms without needing constant validation from others. Standing alone builds your resilience. When you're not constantly surrounded by people who can pick you up every time you fall, you learn how to pick yourself up. You learn that failure isn't the end, but a step toward growth. You realize that your strength doesn't come from never facing challenges, but from overcoming them on your own terms. Each time you stand alone and push through the hard times, you add another layer to your strength. You become someone who can face adversity with grace, knowing that you have the power to overcome it. When you stand alone, you also deepen your relationship with God. In those moments of solitude, when there's no one else around, you're left to rely on His strength, His wisdom, and His guidance. You learn that even when you feel physically alone, you're never truly by yourself because God is always with you. This dependence on God in times of solitude builds spiritual strength. It reinforces the idea that your ultimate source of power and support isn't external, it's divine. Standing alone also helps you gain a clearer sense of purpose. When you're constantly surrounded by other people's opinions, it can be hard to figure out what you truly want. But when you step away, when you stand alone, you get the clarity to see your own path. You start to understand what truly matters to you and what direction you need to go in. This sense of purpose strengthens your resolve and makes you more determined to follow through on your goals, regardless of whether or not others understand or support your journey. Standing alone isn't about rejecting help or community. It's about knowing that even if you find yourself without those things for a time, you'll still be okay. You'll still stand tall. You'll still move forward. You become someone who can handle life's challenges with grace and resilience because you know that your strength isn't dependent on anyone else. It's something you've built within yourself. In standing alone, you find the freedom to be who you truly are, the strength to face life's difficulties head on, and the resilience to keep moving forward, no matter what obstacles come your way. You develop a kind of inner fortitude that allows you to face the world with confidence, knowing that you have everything you need within you to succeed. And that's a strength that no one can take away. The feeling of being alone can be profound and deeply unsettling. It might seem like you're navigating life's challenges on your own, disconnected from those around you or isolated in your struggles. But even in the moments when it feels like you're facing the world alone, the truth is you are never truly alone. At the core of this reality is the understanding that there's a divine presence that's always with you. God is a constant companion, even when you can't see Him or feel His presence in a tangible way. This divine companionship is not just a comforting idea, it's a fundamental truth of your spiritual journey. In times of solitude, when you might feel disconnected from others, you can find solace in knowing that God is with you, guiding you and providing strength. The idea that you are never alone is also reflected in the connections that exist even when you don't realize them. Think about the people in your life who have impacted you, those who have been supportive in ways you might not have acknowledged at the time. The bonds you form with others, the love and care that flow from those relationships, create an invisible network of support that surrounds you, even when you're physically apart. Moreover, your experiences and your struggles are part of a larger human experience. When you face difficulties, you are part of a shared journey with others who have walked similar paths. There's a sense of unity and solidarity that transcends physical presence. The challenges you encounter are not unique to you alone. They are part of a collective experience that connects you to others, whether you realize it or not. Sometimes feeling alone can also be an opportunity for introspection and personal growth. It's in these moments of solitude that you might come to understand yourself more deeply, discover inner strengths you didn't know you had, or reconnect with your faith in a more profound way. While it might feel like isolation, it can actually be a space where you find deeper connections with yourself, with your purpose, and with God. The natural world can also serve as a reminder that you're never truly alone. The beauty and majesty of nature often offer a sense of connection that goes beyond human relationships. When you find solace in a quiet sunrise, the vastness of the sky, or the serenity of a forest, you're tapping into a presence that's both expansive and intimate, reinforcing the idea that you're part of a larger, interconnected whole. In moments of solitude, the practices you engage in, such as prayer, meditation, or reflection, are also evidence that you're not alone. These practices connect you with a greater spiritual reality, providing a means to experience the presence of God and to receive guidance, comfort, and strength. The very act of reaching out, whether through prayer or meditation, is an acknowledgement of a relationship that is always present, even if it's not immediately visible. Furthermore, the support of communities and faith groups, even if not directly involved in your daily life, adds another layer of connection. The collective prayers, good wishes, and moral support of a community, even when not physically present, form an invisible network of encouragement and strength that surrounds you, reinforcing the truth that you are not alone. Even in moments when you might feel disconnected from others or from God, it's important to remember that these feelings are temporary. The underlying truth remains that there is a constant presence, a divine connection that holds you and supports you through every high and low. This presence is a reminder that you are part of a greater whole, a tapestry of life and faith that weaves through every moment, connecting you to the divine and to others in ways that transcend physical proximity. Ultimately, recognizing that you are never truly alone is about embracing the deeper truths of existence. It's about understanding that even in moments of solitude or struggle, you are enveloped in a network of spiritual and human connections that support and sustain you. This awareness can bring comfort, strength, and a renewed sense of hope, reminding you that no matter where you are always part of a greater interconnected whole. Solitude often carries a reputation of loneliness, but it's more accurately described as a divine gift, a space set aside for personal and spiritual refinement. In the busyness of daily life, it's easy to become entangled in the noise and distractions that prevent us from truly understanding ourselves and our purpose. Solitude offers a precious opportunity to step away from these distractions and engage in a process of deep refinement, one that is both transformative and enriching. When you embrace solitude, you're given a rare gift of time and space to turn inward and reflect on your life with clarity. This period of being alone allows you to confront your thoughts, your values, and your emotions without the interference of external voices. It's in this quiet that you can explore who you truly are, unfiltered by the expectations or judgments of others. This introspection is crucial for personal growth as it helps you understand your own motivations, desires, and areas where you need improvement. Solitude acts as a crucible for spiritual and personal refinement. Just as a precious metal is purified through intense heat, so too are our hearts and minds refined through the solitude we experience. The solitude provides an environment where you can shed old habits, clear away distractions, and focus on what truly matters. It's a time to purify your intentions and realign yourself with your core values and spiritual purpose. In this space, you are able to remove the impurities of daily life and allow the essence of who you are to emerge more clearly. This time alone is also a chance to deepen your relationship with the divine. In the silence of solitude, you create room to listen more intently to God's voice. Away from the constant chatter and demands of life, you are more attuned to the guidance, wisdom, and comfort that God offers. Solitude is where you can experience a more profound connection with the divine, where you can seek answers, gain insights, and find reassurance that you might not find in the busyness of life. In solitude, you also have the opportunity to engage in self-discipline and personal growth. Without the immediate influence of others, you are challenged to cultivate habits and virtues on your own. This could be the development of patience, the practice of gratitude, or the pursuit of deeper understanding. The solitude provides a testing ground where you can practice these qualities, refine them, and see how they shape your character and your spiritual life. The gift of solitude also encourages you to confront and work through your fears and insecurities. In the quiet, you are faced with your inner struggles, the things you might avoid when surrounded by others. Rather than seeing this as a burden, recognize it as a chance for healing and growth. Addressing these inner challenges in solitude allows you to work through them with greater honesty and clarity, leading to a stronger and more resilient self. Another aspect of solitude as a divine gift is its role in fostering creativity and inspiration. When you are alone, your mind is free from the constant input of others, which can often stifle original thought. Solitude provides a space for your creativity to flourish, allowing you to explore new ideas, reflect deeply on your passions, and find innovative solutions to problems. It's in these moments of solitude that many people find their most profound insights and creative breakthroughs. Solitude also gives you the chance to cultivate inner peace. In a world filled with constant stimuli and external pressures, finding moments of calm can be challenging. Solitude provides a sanctuary where you can experience tranquility, where you can calm your mind, and where you can recharge emotionally and spiritually. This inner peace is not just a temporary escape, it becomes a foundation upon which you can build a more balanced and centered life. Finally, the solitude helps you appreciate the value of relationships and community more deeply. When you spend time alone, you come to understand the importance of connections with others in a new light. The experiences of solitude make you more grateful for the relationships you have and more discerning about the quality and depth of your interactions with others. This appreciation for community, when combined with the insights gained from solitude, leads to richer and more meaningful relationships. In embracing solitude as a divine gift, you open yourself to a journey of refinement and transformation. It's a time for introspection, spiritual growth, and personal development. It's where you confront challenges, deepen connections with the divine, and discover your true self. By viewing solitude in this light, you can fully appreciate its role in shaping a more refined, balanced, and spiritually aligned life. When it feels like life has taken a turn into a period of waiting or uncertainty, it can be easy to wonder if things are moving forward at all. However, these moments of seeming stagnation or transition are often part of a greater plan where God is setting you up for something bigger than you can currently see. This process of preparation, though it may seem slow or unclear, is essential for aligning you with a grander purpose and greater opportunities. God's timing is not always immediate or apparent. What might appear as delays or obstacles are often divine interventions designed to position you perfectly for future success. Just as a craftsman takes care in shaping and molding materials, God takes time to prepare you for what lies ahead. This preparation might involve developing specific skills, building character, or strengthening your faith. Each step, each challenge you face is part of a larger strategy to equip you for something far beyond your present circumstances. In the midst of these periods, it's crucial to trust that God's plans are always working toward your highest good. The feeling of being stuck or in limbo is often a sign that God is working behind the scenes, arranging details and orchestrating events that will set you up for success. What may seem like a series of random events or delays is actually a carefully crafted plan to place you exactly where you need to be at the right time. God's preparation process often involves a combination of refining and expanding. He uses these times to refine your character, to build resilience, and to deepen your understanding of your own strengths and weaknesses. At the same time, He expands your horizons, opening your mind to new possibilities and perspectives. This dual process ensures that when the bigger opportunity arrives, you are ready to meet it with both the maturity and the vision required for success. During these times of preparation, you might also find yourself stepping out of your comfort zone. God often pushes us to grow by challenging us in areas where we might feel unprepared or insecure. These challenges are not meant to hinder you, but to stretch you, to help you develop qualities such as courage, adaptability, and perseverance. Each challenge you overcome is a step closer to being fully prepared for the larger plan that God has in store for you. It's also important to recognize that the journey itself is part of the preparation. The experiences you accumulate, the relationships you build, and the lessons you learn along the way are all contributing to your readiness for what's ahead. God is not just preparing the opportunity, He is preparing you to fully embrace and utilize it. This means that every moment of waiting, every obstacle faced, and every success achieved is helping to shape you into the person you need to be. Sometimes God's setup involves waiting for the perfect timing. What may seem like a delay or a detour is actually a strategic pause, allowing the circumstances to align in a way that will bring about the best possible outcome. Trusting in this timing requires patience and faith, knowing that God's schedule is always in sync with a larger plan that surpasses our immediate understanding. Additionally, God often places us in situations where we can develop empathy, understanding, and leadership skills that will be crucial for the bigger role we are being prepared for. These experiences, though they may seem unrelated to your immediate goals, are laying the groundwork for future responsibilities and opportunities. By investing in these areas, you're positioning yourself to handle greater challenges and responsibilities with grace and effectiveness. In your current phase, whether it feels like a plateau or a preparatory stage, remember that God's intention is to set you up for something bigger. This involves a combination of personal growth, strategic timing, and expanded vision. The process might not always be easy or straightforward, but every step is part of a divine plan to elevate you to a new level of impact and fulfillment. Understanding this can transform your perspective on your current situation. Instead of viewing it as a setback or an inconvenience, see it as a crucial part of God's preparation process. Embrace the opportunities for growth, remain patient in the waiting, and trust that the bigger plan is unfolding according to a perfect divine schedule. God is indeed setting you up for something bigger, and every moment of preparation is bringing you closer to the realization of that grand purpose. By staying faithful, embracing the journey, and trusting in God's plan, you are positioning yourself to fully step into the significant role and opportunities that lie ahead. As you move through this period of preparation, remember that every step, every challenge, and every moment of waiting is part of a grand design that's unfolding in your life. God is meticulously orchestrating each detail, setting you up for something bigger than you can currently envision. Embrace this journey with faith and patience, knowing that each experience is shaping you into the person you need to be for the extraordinary opportunities ahead. When the time comes and you step into that new chapter, you'll look back and see the beauty and purpose in every moment of preparation. You'll understand why it took time, why you faced certain challenges, and how each experience was a stepping stone to your greater purpose. So, hold fast to your faith and stay steadfast in your trust. The bigger picture is being painted, and you are an essential part of that masterpiece. Your journey, though it may seem uncertain now, is leading you to a place of incredible impact and fulfillment. Embrace the preparation, cherish the growth, and anticipate the greatness that lies ahead. In the end, you'll find that this period of preparation wasn't just about reaching a destination, but about becoming the person you were always meant to be. And when you finally step into the grand purpose that God has been setting you up for, you'll do so with the strength, wisdom, and grace that only comes from the journey you've walked.